When Democrats swept key elections Tuesday night, much of the attention was on the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, of course. But one state-level contest is also being heralded as sending a loud message. Democrat Danica Roem is the first openly transgender person to be elected to state office. She won a seat in Virginia state legislature by defeating a longtime Republican incumbent. That Republican held the seat for 13 terms. Danica Roem is joining me now from Washington. State Delegate-elect, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on, Kate.
So it was a historic win Tuesday night. Has it set in now for you a few days later?
Yeah, I definitely knew what I was getting myself into, and it's been a complete deluge. I had 2,700 unread messages yesterday. So yeah, I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into, and the job to do is to help get Route 28 fixed through Centerville and part of Yorkshire so we can replace traffic lights with overpasses where possible, and we can alleviate our commutes in the 13th district.
And I do want to talk about the issues the issues of the race in just 1 second, but there is a photograph of you that went viral on election night, and we're going to show it to our viewers right here. This is from the Washington Post. You seem overcome with emotion in the midst of it all. What was happening in that moment? Can you describe it?
Yeah, sure. So 19 out of 20 precincts had reported. We were just waiting on Prince William County's absentee ballots, and I didn't want to jinx anything. I knew we had a very commanding lead, but then Joe Biden called me and wished me congratulations. And that's generally when the vice president calls you, that's when you know it's time to declare victory. And at that point, you know, I kind of paced around for a bit, and then I told the room of supporters that Joe Biden called and that we won. And the reaction was so overwhelming, and I felt like just throwing myself down to the ground and just kind of, you know, letting the moment happen. And my dear friend Marilyn Karp, who's also in that photo, she worked so hard, along with all of our friends at Indivisible Nova West, and we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who knocked on more than 75,000 doors throughout this campaign to make this happen. So it's historic, yes, because it's a team effort. So many people work so hard to make it happen.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think voters picked you over a 13-term incumbent Republican? I mean, he's been in the seat for 26 years. Do you think gender identity was an issue in this race?
Some people try to make it to be an issue, but I just kept talking about fixing Route 28, bringing high-paying jobs to Innovation Park, raising teacher pay so it's not the lowest in Northern Virginia, expanding Medicaid to cover 3,700 uninsured residents of the 13th district who earn up to 138% of the federal poverty line. Those are the core quality of life issues that directly affect everyone's lives, and we can work on them while championing inclusion, while working to make Virginia a more inclusive Commonwealth. So no matter what you look like, where you come from, how you worship, or who you love, you are welcomed and celebrated in our Virginia because of who you are, not despite it.
Do you see your election as a sign of progress for transgender Americans?
One, yes, because we don't have representation, at state level government right now. In terms of being elected. But on the same time, what I'm going to be able to show is that transgender people, and I'm a reporter first. I was the lead reporter of the Gainesville Times, covering my lifelong home community of Prince William County from 2006 to 2015. And I was the news editor of the Montgomery County Sentinel up in Maryland. And with that, we did a lot of investigative reporting under the Sentinel's executive editor, Brian Karam, and we, did a 5-part water infrastructure, investigative series. And because of that, I bring a large, just like this vast knowledge of public policy issues to the table. So I'm going to be able to show that a well-qualified, knowledgeable transgender person can do great work in government, whether it's dealing with transportation policy, education policy, or civil rights too.
Well, let me ask you this then. Your opponent, Bob Marshall, he disrespected you throughout the race. He wouldn't debate you. He would not acknowledge your gender identity. Now that you have won, what is your message to him and those who think like him?
Well, like I had said before, that come this January, once I'm sworn in, I will, I'm not in the business of attacking my constituents, and Delegate Marshall will be one of my constituents, and that means that for him, for his family, I'm sure this is a very hard time for them right now, and I have to represent them. I have to represent even the people who didn't vote for me, but fortunately we had a strong overwhelming majority who did, and my job is to be the most inclusive, best, delegate I can be, where, I get to tell people that if you have good public policy ideas, if you're well qualified for office, then you have your right as an American to bring those ideas to the table because of the ideas themselves, not because of the inherent identifiers, of the person presenting them. You can succeed because of who you are. And it's not despite it. It wasn't an obstacle I had to overcome. I succeeded because I'm a journalist, because I'm transgender, because I'm a stepmom, because, of my background in music, everything. It's just, this is who I am, and I'm so excited to get to work to finally start dealing with some major infrastructure issues that we have in Prince William County.
And that will happen very soon. Danica Roem, thank you very much for your time. Good luck in the job ahead.
Thank you so much, Kate.